Hi, Leo Risings, and welcome to your astrology and tarot forecast for this full moon in Aquarius. There is a ton of energy, and so I think this is a great time to let the universe give us a little guidance. If you're new to this channel, welcome. My name's Lisa Merrifield. I'm with Trails Edge Astrology, and my goal with this channel is to help busy people make informed, good decisions with some grounded, practical advice on how to work with the cosmic energy. These readings are general, of course. I don't see your chart. I don't know your chart. If you like them, if you would like a more full reading, I do offer full readings, and you can find my website in the show notes. So head over there if you're so inclined. If you like this format, I also offer a membership where I will send you a personal reading every month that matches this format, where I look at the astrology and I look at the tarot for your deck. So that will open in November. And if you're interested in that, just keep watching, and I will let you know when that's opened and how to find out more about it. And of course, before I get started, I would be grateful if you would subscribe, like, share, comment, all of the YouTube things, all of the things that help this algorithm grow. I'm a relatively new content creator. Um, a relatively small channel, and I would like to help get my message out. So if you are willing to aid me in that by liking, subscribing, commenting, or sharing, I would be eternally grateful. Another piece is that the algorithm likes it when you get to at least halfway full through this. So even if you don't have time, come back to it, and if you'll listen to the whole thing, that helps me as well. So now that I have asked for my assistance, let me tell you what I think is coming your way with this full moon. So, um, again, the full moon is in Aquarius. The moon is full on Monday, August 19th. And we have an Aquarius full moon every August. So um, the sun is in Leo, and the moon is in Aquarius. And so that happens every year. And for you as a Leo rising, that's really talking straight to your heart. So it's in your first house of your identity, yourself, your vitality, and your relationships, how you show up with other people. So the kind of the me we kind of axis of the chart. You know, who am I as an individual? Who am I in committed relationships, and how does that feed my soul? So any full moon in Aquarius is going to illuminate some piece of that for you. Now, this full moon in particular is there's a lot of extra oomph to it, just to be quite honest. There's a lot going on, and I'm not going to cover all of the details of the full moon here, but um, but a piece of it that I think is really compelling and telling is that this full moon is squaring Uranus. And we've had a lot of activity with Uranus this year. In in August, I'm sorry, in April, in April, we had a Jupiter Uranus conjunction in Taurus. And then in July, we had a Mars Uranus conjunction. And then through August, we've had these squares to Uranus. So there's just been all of this Uranian activity, and Uranus helps propel us forward by breaking through the barriers and the boundaries. It's the goal is liberation and freedom seeking. Um, and it can be a little bit chaotic. Uranus finds the path of least resistance to break down whatever has calcified or whatever structures are not doing what they need to do for you. So, as a Leo rising, this has all been happening in your house of career, or your if you know if you're retired or you're a student or whatever, it's that public part of your life. So there's been some movement, and this has been happening over the last I can't remember exactly when Uranus went into Taurus, but it's 5 or 6 years. It's been happening for a long time. There's been something in that space in your chart that has been that you are really invited to step into something more grand, or more yeah, get out of something that's not working as well for you as it may have once been, and really move into a new chapter and a new cycle with that energy. So this moon is about who you are as an individual, who you are in relationships, and there's something about career that could kind of like stir that all together. And when I talk about relationships, it's not just romantic relationships, but it can be business partnerships or best friends, any kind of really like committed one-on-one relationship is where this is highlighting. So all that energy is like ripe for revision and rethinking and illumination during this full moon. Um, with a Uranus square like this, sometimes it can feel like it comes out of the blue. Sometimes it can be surprising. Um, I would doubt that it's something that you haven't gotten a glimpse of before. I would guess that through the Jupiter Uranus conjunction and the Mars Uranus conjunction and these the squares from Venus and Mercury that you're seeing some of that tension, or you're seeing some of that like, oh, I'm gonna break out, or I'm gonna do something different. Um, so I would guess it's not totally new, but it might be a thing, a different way of thinking about it, or there might be a slant to it that you haven't seen before, or it might be the elephant in the room that you have just not been willing to like go to or talk about that might just come to pass. How big it is really depends on what else is going on in those houses in your chart or what it's interacting with. Um, but it's there nonetheless. And even if it doesn't, like, if there's not something like some physical manifestation in your world, um, the people around you will have things happen, and there will be some ripple effects. So we're all going to feel this. Um, all right. So that's one piece of it. So this full moon square Uranus, one big piece of this lunar cycle. Um, a second piece that I'm going to argue is even more important, and because it's got longer range consequences, is that there is something called a T square forming in the sky. And so Venus is going to be opposite Saturn during the full moon, and both of those are going to square Jupiter and Mars. And T squares are tense aspects. They're like Uranus aspects. They're asking us to resolve something. Like the energy needs to go somewhere. And so there's just this pressure brewing, and in particular, the piece that I really do want to pull out. I'm not gonna pull apart how the whole T square works and how we release tension on that. But the piece I want to pull out is the Jupiter square Saturn piece of it. And the reason I'm doing that is because Jupiter Saturn cycles are really important to our lives and what we're building, and how we are, um, yeah, just the structures we're building. Jupiter and Saturn both have to do with building structures in our lives. And so I like to think of Jupiter and Saturn coming together as sort of like a balloon. So Saturn is the latex or the mylar, whatever kind of balloon you want. So it's that physical structure. It's like the boundary um, in which you can blow air, or the Jupiter expands and brings in the like the pieces of the story. So you blow your Jupiterian air into this Saturnian structure that holds it. So if you just have Saturn, you just have a flat balloon and there's nothing really there. If you just have Jupiter, you're just blowing air all over the place, but doesn't it doesn't build anything. It just dissipates. So the two of them together build those structures. So Jupiter and Saturn come together every 20 years. They last came together in December of 2020. And so I want you to think back of what was happening in December of 2020, because that was a seeding moment for some kind of new structural cycle. And it was particularly important because it happened at 0 degrees of Aquarius. So for the 200 years prior to that December 2020 conjunction, uh, Jupiter and Saturn had been coming together in air. And so, of course, we've had the Industrial Revolution. We've had, um, all of this thought around wealth, what our house looks like, what our car looks like, how we dress. All of the physical structures, all of the Capricornian, the Tauresian, and the Virgoan kinds of kinds of things in our lives we've been building those structures over the last 200 years. So before any of us were born, those are the kinds of structures that Jupiter and Saturn have been working on. And on December of 2020, they moved into Aquarius. And so they started an air cycle. So for the next 200 years, Jupiter and Saturn will come together in air. And they will give us the opportunity to become the architect of a more ideal version of ourselves, a more ideal version of society. In air signs, we are communicating, we're in relationships, it's our ideas, it's wisdom, it's all of those kinds of things. And so, um, so this new cycle, we're entering this new stage where we're being invited to really put those pieces into place and build that kind of balloon. So it's a shift. Um, so Jupiter and Saturn met in December of 2020 at 0 degrees of Aquarius, and that's where Pluto is hanging out right now. And Pluto is again about transformation and about us being authentically who we are. And so that it's just a really sensitive point. So fast forward to now. Now we have a Jupiter Saturn square. So the two planets were together in 2020 and now have moved to the point where they're at a square. And squares are creative tension. Squares are crisis points. It's a place where we have to deal with something. We have built all this time since December of 2020. We've been building something, some kind of new structure. We've been starting to put air in this balloon, and we're at a point where we are being invited um, to evaluate how that's going and make a change so that we can continue to put air in the balloon. So, for example, if there's a thumbtack in your balloon, now would be the time to get it out. And that's not a great metaphor, but you know what I mean. There's some um, interest in an opportunity to make a change. And now we have three opportunities to make this change. Um, so this isn't a one and done. There'll be three squares between Saturn and Jupiter over the next year. So this is just the initiating point. So this is the point where I think a light is going to get shone on something that you're like, and you may already be feeling it. You may totally already be feeling it. Like, ooh, I need to tweak that thing, or I need to put more energy in that piece of it. So for you as a Leo rising, this is going to your relationship houses. So Jupiter right now is in your 11th house, which is about how you are creative within community and with friends, how you participate in groups. So there's something about community that you need to build whatever this new structure is. And Saturn for you right now is in your 8th house, which is your house of how you're vulnerable with other people and karmic debts and your contracts with other people. So there's something related to relationships um, and really intimate emotional kinds of pieces of those relationships that you are looking at in order to move you forward into whatever is coming next and whatever that next chapter is. So think that through. See if that resonates or how that's coming together for you. Again, depending on what else you've got going on, where the placement of your other planets, like it will resonate more directly or less directly. Again, these are general readings, so I can't see the rest of that for you. But there's just something there. There's something about with Uranus, there's something about career, there's something about how you're interacting with groups, there's something about those personal, intimate relationships and how you're connecting over money and contracts and karmic ties and all of that. So that's where I think this energy is. And so let's move on and pull some cards and see what the deck has to say about how this might show up for all of you Leo risings. So I'm going to pull from the Mind's Eye Tarot by Olivia Rose, and we're going to pull 5 cards. So I'm going to pause for a second, shuffle my deck, deal my cards, and I'll be right back to let you know what the universe has to say about working with this energy. All right, my Leo rising friends, you got some strong cards here. There's something going on. All right. So, what has manifested since the Great Conjunction, since that Jupiter-Saturn conjunction um, in December of 2020? And you got the Ten of Cups. And so the Ten of Cups is kind of the happily ever after card. It's the relationship card. And so something about relationships has, or how you think about relationships, or how you think about um, maybe how you care for yourself. So tens are the end of the story. So it's like the coming together. That's why I said happily ever after, like the coming together. And and cups are about emotions and relationships and feelings, and the Jupiter Uranus conjunction, and right now Pluto is in your seventh house, so which is your house of committed relationships. So there's something about relationships that has happened that um and I don't want to say that it's just the beginning of a relationship, because tens are endings. So maybe a relationship ended and you have been like seeing that ending through. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily, I'm not feeling like you necessarily are getting into a relationship, but maybe you are rethinking how you show up in relationships. Maybe you're in a relationship and you're rethinking what that looks like, and how you show up and how you care for yourself. So there's some kind of relationship ending piece or emotional piece. Um, you know, like I'm gonna show up this way. I've maybe been this kind of person as I've interacted with other people all these years, and now I'm going to step into this, like a more authentic version, a more again, that architect of the ideal society. Like what do I really want this to look like? So that kind of flavor speaks to really that eighth house kind of like like the vulnerability and the intertwinement, and just rebuilding what relationships look like for you. I think is what's happened since that great conjunction. So something about um, kind of a closing chapter to, like, this is what relationships look like before, or this is what my emotional attachments look like before, and this is what they look like. I'm building a new structure for those things. So that's what has come in with that great conjunction, and kind of what you're working on over the next 20 years. And don't worry, it's not every day for 20 years. I'm not saying if you're not in a relationship, I'm not saying you'll never be in one. You will be. Um, I'm just saying that there's some that you're being invited to really think about what that structure looks like, and what an ideal relationship would look like for you. All right. What do you need to see right now? And you need to see justice. So so justice is about karma or fairness. I mean, that's what justice is. It's about the balance and the like maybe you didn't get all of what you wanted. Maybe a relationship did end, or maybe you're rethinking what an ideal relationship looks like. Maybe you're in one, but you're rethinking what that ideal relationship looks like. Something like that. Um, And so you need to see that there is some karmic fairness to all of this, that you did not completely, give yourself away or lose, or like it's there's some justice in whatever happened. Um, Maybe it's not what you wanted or what you'd hoped for, but there's some justice in it, and maybe the justice is bigger than you. Maybe somebody has wronged you in some way, or like not treated you the way you should have been treated. And um and during this cycle, there's the ask is to see what your role is in it and how you want to show up, like how you want to act differently, um to make sure that you don't get put in that situation again, or that um or or maybe just know that if something happened, or somebody treated you in a way that wasn't right, um, that there is some justice to the situation. See what the fairness is. See what your part is, what their part is, and that there is a leveling of the playing field. It may be beyond you. You may never know exactly how that happened, but there is some leveling of the playing field. There is some justice to all of that intertwinement. And you may see it. I mean, maybe it's somebody you're in an active relationship with, and you may see what this comes to. But yeah, some justice, some balance, some um, I think of justice as the middle of the major arcana. And so I think of it as the heart chakra, that balance point. Everything below it is the earthy groundedness and, how we are in the physical material world. And everything above it is how we are in the metaphysical spiritual world. And that's that's a very loose description of how chakras work, but nonetheless, it's that balance point. So you need to see something about that balance, and you actually have more balance cards coming. So something about that balance. There's something you need to see in there, like it it may not have been fair, in the instance, but over time, over the greater evolution of a soul, like there's some fairness and there's some justice that would be beneficial for you to acknowledge, in order to move on, in order for you to heal. All right. Um, what do you need to release in order to embrace the next chapter? And you need to release the Hanged Man. So I would guess that you have not been active. Maybe you haven't been doing something. Maybe you've just been like in stasis, just sitting still, just in meditation, just like I'm healing, I'm doing my thing. Um, and there's something about releasing that inactivity, or releasing I'm just gonna hang here. I'm not gonna make any waves. I'm not gonna get out. So I think this card is saying it's time to take some action. There's something about those getting those emotional entanglements. um you have that career energy. Is it like you've been sitting in a career that's not going anywhere, or you have relationships in your career, because there's some of that relationship energy, relationships in career that are not moving you forward? Or is it a one-on-one partnership? Maybe it's not a business partnership, maybe it is a romantic partnership, or maybe it's how you are in relationships in groups. So there's something where you have not necessarily been taking action. Maybe you've been learning. Like this is a card of learning. This is a card of, you know, mental, spiritual growth. But but there's something to be released about that. Like it's time to get down. It's time to go right side up and start walking in the world again, in whatever way that means. So, what opportunities are emerging? So, we had temperance, and temperance is again about balance. It's about finding the sweet spot. And sometimes when when we're trying to find the balance, we contort ourselves so that like somebody else is out of balance. But if we move, over in this sideways way, we can get it to be where we think it needs to be. I'm going to pause for a second and get the cat out of here just a sec. Oh, sorry, she was thinking about a hairball, and I didn't want to record a hairball. You don't need that in your life. Um, Temperance, balance, harmony, finding the sweet spot. So I think some like ability to see, this is how I want to be in a relationship. This is how I want to be treated. This is what I want my career to look like. This is how I want people to treat me, and I can ask for that, and I can find a place where I get what I need and other people get what they need. So there's that is emerging. That is coming into your consciousness, um, during this transition period. That you're building something around relationships over the next 20 years, and this adjustment point is bringing in some new idea of what that can look like, a new idea of what that balance can look like. All right, and what is the final note from the universe? The Queen of Cups. And queens are internal. They internalize and they live in an energy. And cups are about really being heart centered, really being focused on, finding, um, living in our feelings, living very authentically. From that space where we check with our body before we make an action. So the universe is saying something about like living in that space. The Hanged Man, you've just been in stasis. You've just been taking, like, this is the ultimate meditation card. You just like there's a fly on you, but you're in meditation, and you just are like, you just observe it. It's there, but you don't do anything about it. And the Queen of Cups is saying, maybe let yourself feel that. Do I like that? Do I not like that? So So something about really internalizing what you're feeling, what kind of adventure you want to take, what kind of how you want to be in community with other people, how you want to be vulnerably intertwined with other people. Um, there's an invitation to explore some of that. Um, Court cards can also be people. So I wonder if there's not somebody coming into your life, somebody who really embodies just that emotional attunement and emotional intelligence, and really that that ability to hold space for people, or so there could be somebody, could be you, could be somebody else, but there's just something about like really living in your feelings, really like checking in with your body, checking in with your heart, you're not getting so caught in your head, um, to let you go forward. So that's the invitation. So I hope this is helpful, Leo Rising. I'm curious to know how this is shaping up in your life and what you might be exploring. Thanks for making it this far. Please give me a like, a subscribe. Let me know. Give me a comment if you enjoyed this, and I hope to see you again soon. Thanks. Bye.